It's the Asian Cup, and it's the Give and Go boys once again here to recap today's matches. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on this tournament, on this team, and your favorite players. We'll be talking all things Asian Cup this entire time, so make sure to subscribe to join our community. Today we had nothing but Group D action with Japan facing off against Indonesia and Iraq facing off against Vietnam. Let's start off with Japan versus Indonesia, where Japan saw themselves win 3-1 in a game that started off very quick with a penalty within the first few minutes.
Holding. Number 4 on the defense, 12-yard penalty for Japan, and they put it away, bro. 1-0, Japan goes up. That same gift that Vietnam gave Indonesia in that match, Indonesia just rewrapped it and then gifted it to Japan because Jordi Amat got hella tight for no reason. I mean, I understand he was in the box and he was, in a dangerous position. But, dude, like, in the first 60 seconds of the match, essentially, on the first deadly play, I think it was just a rush of blood to the head. Amat gets super tight. It's a penalty all day long.
Dude, these players, these Asian players, not just Indonesia, but across the tournament, I'm seeing a lot of these guys get too tight on the player they're marking in the box. These dudes think they're at a fucking club, dude, with how tight and touchy they're getting.
I know.
Let them go, man. Let them breathe, and you won't get a penalty call on you. I was frustrated because we talked yesterday about my worries, my concerns for Indonesia in this match specifically. To start off like that, it's just such a blatant mistake that you couldn't really argue against, man. It was a clear penalty, and Ueda finished it off by scoring it to make it 1-0 early on in this game.
Yeah, early on, and I mean, to be completely honest, for the rest of the match, this was pretty straightforward for Japan. They dominated possession. They attacked Indonesia in every opportunity that they had. And eventually, they got that second and third goal with Indonesia crafting almost nothing. I mean, I can just think of one chance where they really stretched the Japanese defense. But other than that, this game was just set and done, honestly, once that penalty was scored. Yes, Indonesia did settle down after that. And for a long stretch of the game, it was 1-0. Yeah. But, I mean, that's kind of my conclusion here. I still don't think Japan has arrived. And honestly, I don't know if they're fully going to now. I mean, they've had 3 games. They got bodied against Iraq. They had a weird match against Vietnam. And they had a, decent game against Indonesia. But in my opinion, considering their performance over the last 24 months, these 3 games at the AFC Asian Cup, I'm just not recognizing this Japanese team.
It's been a buzzkill, man. It completely killed my buzz in this high I had on Japan. I mean, my perspective regarding them now is that the tournament starts now. That's all I can think of with the Japanese team. This is the time now to show up on this stage in the round of 16 and the knockout stages. The pressure is here now. It has fully arrived, and I really don't have much analysis to give this Japanese team. We've seen what we've seen in these past 3 games. It's just a matter of waiting and seeing what Japanese team shows up in the round of 16 and going from there. So far, not giving us much to be excited about, but I still am going to stick to my guns here and say that they're going to win this tournament regardless of how they perform in the group stage. I'm going to stick by my prediction, but they just haven't given us the best display so far.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced with these last 3 performances, and I'm really disappointed because Japan has this huge narrative of being the best team in Asia going into this tournament, and they haven't proved it to me. They really haven't. If you take someone who's their first time watching Asian football and we tell them that Japan's the best team here, they'd be like, no, Iraq's the better team. Low-key, maybe even Jordan's better. And, I would actually agree based off of the performances that have happened. You look at this game against Indonesia, and I thought it was kind of sloppy still from Japan. Now, the second half was much better. Honestly, that second half was the best half Japan has played at this tournament. But, I mean, for like 50, 60 minutes, Japan was still pretty sloppy when they would go for it. Kubo could not make a tight pass to save his life. Minamino's on the bench, comes on, and he just hasn't done much this tournament. I said in the last game, Junya Ito had the worst game I've ever seen him play. He played like 5 minutes in this match coming off the bench. Rito Doan gets the start today, and I mean, low-key, he was wasteful. He had like 3 solid opportunities, couldn't put them away. And he's so much more direct when he's on it. Ueda or Daisen Maeda are so much more aggressive when they're on it. Their runs are usually so much more meaningful. But in these last 3 performances, they're just kind of like running around like a headless chicken. Like there's no real purpose in the front three of Japan right now. And dude, I'm telling you, it's so unrecognizable. And I'm very, very disappointed. It's not looking good for Japan considering how good they have been over the last 2 years. I'm very disappointed, but in a way, I do agree. Redemption's always on the horizon for any football club, more so if the talent is there. And it is for Japan. They're through the knockout stage. It's not like they have failed yet. So there is hope, but my God, man, like, seriously, I'm just pretty disappointed.
Oh, yeah, it was. I'm not saying it was a positive showing. I agree with you completely. I just think in a tournament like this, if it was a World Cup and they put on the same performance, I'd be so out on the Japanese team completely.
Yeah.
It's the Asian Cup. The level's a little lower here. I think and it sucks that this is what I'm saying about the Japanese team, but I do think they just end up having the better quality on the pitch to carry them through these matches and end up getting results. So I think we might start seeing that once the bright lights are on. Even if they're not playing the best, most fluid Japanese football we've seen from them, I still think it's going to be enough. I think it's going to be enough to carry them deep into this tournament. So that's why I still remain not fully concerned, but just not excited is I'll represent my Japanese take. Not excited.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point because I think Japan definitely will always back themselves as, all right, we have the better players. And the longer this tournament goes on, you really start to see the true colors of some of these underdog teams. Can they really meet up to that pressure that these knockout stage games possess? But on that inverse, Japan's opponents could see that Japan's a little off and maybe pull in a rock and just attack them. That's true. There's definitely vulnerability within this Japanese squad to be exposed. I think it'll just be up to the opponent to basically press them and attack hard when you play Japan. Only thing positive I'll say about this game against Indonesia that I saw that they did versus their other games is they were much better with their midfield press. They got the ball almost immediately back when they would lose it within the midfield. They met the Indonesian players up high on the pitch to get it back, and Indonesia simply could not handle that pressure. I hadn't seen Japan press the ball like that in the first 2 matches, so that's actually a really good sign. And if they can just couple that with their fluid football that they've played in the past up top, then I think we might see a better Japan. So there's definitely still hope, but yeah, overall, very disappointing group stage.
As for Indonesia, I love that they managed to get a goal off of Arhan's throw-in, man. Yeah. That ultimately was so rewarding because we saw it throughout this entire tournament. Every time Arhan threw that ball in from the fucking sideline, he would launch it in like it's a corner kick, and it would provide to be dangerous, man, a dangerous opportunity nearly every single time. And finally, we saw it finished off with Sandy Walsh scoring an actual goal here to make it 3-1. That was a beautiful moment, I thought, for Indonesia to get a goal in that specific way.
Yeah, and honestly, other than the penalty, I thought Indonesia played as good as they could have. They had a very solid game, and I think this was just kind of an experience, holding the ball, trying to relieve pressure. They just couldn't do it. But overall, I thought they were able to meet Japan as good as they could. So yeah, I mean, props to Indonesia. And there is still a chance that they can get into the knockout stage. They'll just need a little bit of help from the other groups.
And once again, I just felt that Suzuki could have done a little bit more on that shot, man. He touched it. He let it go under him. I understand it came at him quick and it came at him low. It's a little bit more justifiable than the other mistakes we saw him make in this tournament. But still, man, I thought that was a save that a good keeper could have made, and we saw Suzuki miss it once again, who ended up getting the start in this game and getting the coach's trust.
I know that watching Suzuki for the rest of this tournament, and honestly, even in World Cup qualifiers after this tournament, that's going to be an insane narrative for Japan because if he doesn't really follow through as the Japanese number 1, then who's it going to be? And low-key, why isn't Moriyasu trying to kind of mess with the number 2 right now, knowing that Suzuki's made some weird mistakes in these past matches? I guess there's full trust in him, and maybe low-key Moriyasu is just using this whole tournament for Suzuki to see how he really performs, and it's only going to get more intense in the knockout stage for him. So I think that's where we're really going to see if Suzuki can handle that pressure. Yeah.
Match rating, I'm going 6.2 on this one, man. Early goal, and once that went in, it was pretty much dominant from Japan. And 6.2 for me.
Yeah, 6.5 for me. I mean, Japan had some nice goals when they were on it. 3 goals. Yeah. 4th one with Indonesia, like a 6.5.
Yeah. And lastly, we have Iraq facing off against Vietnam, a game that saw Iraq win 3-2. And what was overall, I would call a sloppy game from the Iraqis. Vietnam went up 1-0 in this game, and it was nice to see them get that lead there. For a moment in time, they thought they would get 3 points, but then that quickly faded away with a red card minutes after, right before the half ended. That essentially sealed the fate of the Vietnamese in this game, with Iraq getting back into the match right away in the second half, making it 1-1, and then scoring a second goal to make it 2-1. In extra time, Vietnam is able to get one back and make it 2-2. But Iraq ends up getting the lead after a second penalty is called, with Ayman Hussein making this one after missing his first one and making it 3-2. Now, 4 or 5 goals in this tournament so far? The leading goal scorer in Asia in this tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Putting on an incredible performance. Iraq gets 3 points out of this game, 9 points overall in this group, and they end up topping it, and Vietnam gets sent back home.
Yeah, not much to say here for me. Since Vietnam were already eliminated, I didn't really see much of this game. I did see the red card, and I also saw Ayman Hussein getting 2 goals. Dude, he could have got a hat trick if he scored that other penalty. There was also another chance where he barely just missed the post on a header. But Hussein's off to a crazy goal scoring start. He could have already 6 or 7 goals if he's just a little bit more clinical, which is insane considering he's already the top goal scorer at this tournament. Pulling an Almoez Ali from 2019, bro. He could go on to get really close to 10 goals if he just scores, a goal or 2 in some of these other knockout stages. But Iraq, kind of approaching it like Qatar did, I saw. They played like a quasi-B team, if you will, against Vietnam, which is completely fine. And they still managed to get the win. So just like Qatar, finishing with a full 9 points for Iraq. So impressive. And honestly, I think going into the knockout stage, one of the hottest teams.
That's all I was going to ask. Because we're so critical of how these teams are performing in the group stage. A lot of these contenders haven't been their best selves in the group stage so far. Iraq has been the opposite of that. They've been nothing but incredible. 3 straight wins. If anything, today's game was their shakiest one, but it was with what you said, essentially a B team for them. Is Iraq the team with the least concerns going into the round 16? Because I know with Qatar, they won all 3, but we still question the ability of the other teams they faced off against. South Korea has found themselves in trouble, in that Jordan game. Japan, we already talked about. Australia's playing some interesting mid-level football.
Yeah.
With Iraq, are they playing the best football going into the knockout stages?
I'm actually going to put Iraq and Iran as the 2 hottest teams in this tournament so far. And I know Iran had a weird game against Hong Kong, but in my analysis there, I said I think they just knew they were going to win, so they didn't really put out their best performance against Hong Kong. Whereas Iraq, their second match was against Japan. So they were riled up to put in an excellent performance, and they did. When you look at Iran and how dynamic they can be in all 3 matches, they look almost unstoppable when they're flowing. And Iraq, alongside Jesus Casas, their strategy is so good. Immense pace on the wings. And then with Ayman Hussein as their number 9, dude, he's almost unstoppable against if he's one-on-one and the ball's coming in from across against the center back. Yeah. So Iraq have an excellent game plan on the offensive end, and then defensively, bro, they're so committed, they're so strong. So for me, Iraq and Iran are the 2 hottest teams. In Iraq, low-key, maybe even a little bit more since they've won all 3 of their matches. Yeah.
Match rating for this one, I'm gonna go 6.5. 6.5 is what I've given a lot of these third round games. I'm going to stick to it. We got some good goals in this game, 5 goals overall. 6.5 wasn't the main game I was watching.
I'll just join you there. I didn't really see much of this game since Vietnam was already out, so 6.5.
Match previews, where we preview the games happening tomorrow. We have some Group E and Group F action to finalize this third round. Starting off with Group E, we have Jordan facing off against Bahrain and South Korea facing off against Malaysia. It's got to be this Jordan versus Bahrain game that's labeled the one to watch.
Yeah, I'm not even going to watch that Korea-Malaysia game low-key. Malaysia's already out, so that's done and dusted. But that Jordan-Bahrain game, man, really excited for this one because I need Jordan to win. I need another hot team. The fact that they got an insane draw against a very good South Korea, they went off against Malaysia. I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but I need Jordan to win just to prove to me that continue their progress. And if they can go in with a big win against their rivals in Bahrain into the knockout stage, they might be able to pull off like a dark horse run here.
Yeah. I like the narrative of a singular player carrying his country throughout a tournament. That tends to happen in World Cups or Copa Americas. And I think that narrative is Ali Madan in Bahrain, bro.
Oh,
because when you talk about the weight given into a player, the importance he has, sure, Ayman Hussein is scoring so many goals, but Iraq is still good. It's still really good nonetheless. With Bahrain, it's clear that they rely on Ali Madan to carry them offensively, and he did that in one of the most clutch moments I've seen in last round's match, where he got that late goal to win the game and put themselves in a position to hopefully qualify to the round of 16. I want him to show up again, bro. I want him to be the star of this match and to face off against this really, really strong Jordanian side and get a result when it's needed most, man. If Ali Madan scores a goal, just know that I'll be losing my mind in my bedroom watching that happen at the same time, bro. So I'm not saying I'm going Bahrain here. I'm just saying that's the narrative to watch in this game.
Oh, dude, yes. 100%. Ali Madan is so fun to watch, and it makes Bahrain games so fun to watch because he's absolute class. And Bahrain have a lot to play for here too, man. A draw will do them really well. And, I mean, if they can beat Jordan, then, I mean, low-key, they could also make somewhat of a dark horse run, maybe quarterfinals appearance or maybe a semifinal appearance. But they're gonna have a really tough test against Jordan, so this will be a really good litmus test for Bahrain.
Yeah, and I believe that for South Korea and Malaysia, the only implications here is rather does South Korea want to run the score up on Malaysia, because then they would be able to finish first in this group. Thing is, if they finish first in this group, they will be set to face off against Japan, I believe. And so we'll see how the results play out. But South Korea, I do expect for them to win this game, to just continue that momentum that they had in this tournament after getting a tie last round. I want to see how they perform against the Malaysians. And for Malaysia, it's just about saving face here, man. Yeah. Just wanting to go back home with something positive to look back on. And if it's a feisty performance against the South Koreans who could end up lifting the trophy, then maybe that's the best they could achieve here.
Yeah, this will be interesting because South Korea do have an opportunity to get first place, but this always gets weird, right? Mm-hmm. When this happens, knowing that you'll play a really tough team because they slightly underperformed. But I think if you're Korea, you play your best 11 and you just score goal after goal against Malaysia, show no mercy, maybe save a couple of players, maybe like give Lee Kang-in a rest just because you know Malaysia's not going to really do that much. So I could see that happening for Korea to play like a half A, half B team. But either way, I think they just need to go off.
Yeah. And then lastly, we have Group F with Saudi Arabia facing off against Thailand and Oman facing off against Kyrgyzstan. Which one you watching, bro?
I'm going Oman, Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
I need to see if Oman can actually like manage winning a game. Mm-hmm. I need to see it. The opportunities there against Kyrgyzstan, they did not take the opportunity against Thailand, and Thailand defended very well. Oman should have won that game, and they didn't take it. And in their opponents, Kyrgyzstan, honestly, they were down a man for the majority of their match against Saudi Arabia, did not play that bad. They had a terrible first match against Thailand, but I think they redeemed themselves defensively in that second game against the best team in the group, by the way. So, low-key, this actually might be pretty tough for Oman to get the 3 points. And Kyrgyzstan themselves, they'll need to score a lot of goals, but they're technically still in it too if they can win this match. So I don't think this is going to be an easy task for Oman. Even though they might be the better team on the day, I'm still wondering if they can actually even put a goal past this Kyrgyzstani team.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I don't know if I can trust this Oman side. And they played each other in this same matchup just a few months ago for World Cup qualifiers, and Kyrgyzstan won 1-0. I'm interested to see just round 2 of this matchup. How does it look? I am excited for it, but like I said, I don't know if I trust either one of these sides, I'm going to be honest. So we might get a 0-0 draw here, bro.
Yeah, we might.
Yeah, we might. But then the last game we have in this group is Saudi Arabia facing off against Thailand. Saudi Arabia with their toughest test yet facing off against this Thailand side who has 4 points out of 2 matches. A Thailand team that's making history as well themselves. Yeah. Should be a pretty good match, honestly, if both teams put in their best starting 11.
Yeah, this was going to be interesting because both teams are pretty much through. Are they really going to go for it? Especially since Thailand know that this is going to be such a tough task. It's a great test, though. If they win, they actually get first place. And for Saudi Arabia, I think it's just about building momentum, because the second game was such a wash for Saudi Arabia, considering that Kyrgyzstan had an early red card, so they just bunkered in, and Saudi Arabia had to figure out how to play against a tight defense. Just a weird match overall. And in that first game against Oman, it was just very dramatic. So Saudi Arabia haven't really gotten into, I would say, a good flow yet. There's an opportunity here against Thailand. Saudi Arabia should win this game, I think, no matter what. I just don't really think Thailand have good ball retention in the offensive end. But, I mean, hey, Thailand have a good chance to play against a solid team here, but I'm going Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I'm going to go Saudi Arabia on this one as well. That's Group F then, man. Let's see what happens tomorrow in a really interesting slate of games. And we'll be talking to you guys soon, once again, with our round of 16 previews for AFC. The time has arrived. The games are getting very, very interesting. We're going to continue talking about this Asian Cup 2023. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.